Let's talk this brand new 2026 Honda NC750X DCT, which is Honda's rather budget-friendly tourer in quotation marks adventure style motorcycle for those of you who are too scared to want to go towards Chinese manufactured motorcycles and a little too cheap to want to go towards the European ones, and this will end up being your sweet spot. But how did we get here? Because this motorcycle was not airdropped overnight. It's been in production for a couple of years in the US with minimal changes made to it, but the history of this bike is where it gets really interesting. So roll that tape up. Let's take a look at how we got here. Starting with the Goldwing in 1975, Honda's touring bikes became increasingly luxurious with more comfort, features, and technology. The GL15 and 1800 pushed the boundaries of grand touring. In the 1990s, Honda introduced sport touring options like the ST1100 Pan-European, adding advanced safety tech and showing touring didn't have to mean full luxury. The NT650V Deauville arrived in 1998, focusing on integrated luggage, comfort, and practicality. It bridged the gap between sport bikes and grand tourers, offering a true sport touring experience. By the mid-2000s, the NT700V refined the formula with more features, making it a compact and versatile hybrid for commuting and touring. Then the events of the 2008 market crash and financial difficulties happened, and a lot of people gravitated towards more affordable items. Honda responded with the NC project, aiming for a fun, affordable, and efficient motorcycle. The NC750X launched in 2012, blending adventure and everyday practicality with long travel suspension, internal storage, and commuter-friendly features. It bridged the gap between sport and adventure touring in an affordable package. In 2014, the NC700X became the NC750X, maintaining the focus on practicality, versatility, and touring capabilities in a manageable package. And that gets us to 2026 and the bike we're about to look at. And this is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to go wheel to wheel and everything in between on this brand new 2026 Honda NC750X DCT and see for about $9,500 before taxes, fees, shipping, freight, and all those other costs, what you're expected to get from Honda. And then we're going to get on it, go out there, and ride this motorcycle. Let's go. Let's start off by talking about perhaps the quirkiest and the most brilliant design on this motorcycle. And I was hoping actually I would see this trend on more motorcycles, but I just don't see them unless if the motorcycle is electric. And that's the fact that this space up here is dedicated to a cargo compartment. This motorcycle has a frunk, even though it's an internal combustion engine motorcycle and has a gas tank. This entire area is a huge 23-liter compartment that fits an entire helmet in it, and I'm going to show you that. And that's also where they've put the battery tender cable so you don't have to wire it yourself, and a toolbox down there. But this is a fantastic idea, and you might ask, okay, where is the gas tank now? And it's under the seat where the cargo compartment would have been on a traditional motorcycle. In order to access these two compartments, yet another brilliant idea is executed here. They've given you just one keyhole up here. Instead of cluttering the space on the motorcycle, one here for the cargo compartment, one down there for the rear seat to be removed to get gas, they've put one keyhole here, and it depends if you flip the key to the left or to the right. If you flip the key to the left, you open the rear seat to get gas, and if you flip it to the right, you open this huge cargo compartment. Now, moving up to this upper dashboard area, you have some of these buttons on the handlebars backlit, so at night in pitch black you can actually see them, which is a nice touch. On that side, on the right handlebar, you have the start stop button, and beneath it you have the gear change button. So it goes from neutral to drive and to manual. And that's right, this motorcycle has an automatic transmission. That's part of the DCT or dual clutch transmission. More on that when we focus on the engine and the transmission of this motorcycle. But that means this motorcycle essentially is like an automatic car. You put it in drive and you go, but you can still change your own gear if you choose to. The motorcycle will do it for you, but if you want to take matters in your own hand, if you want to like put it in sport mode and have fun in the canyons, You can use these plus and minus buttons that are on the right, on the left handlebar on this motorcycle. So that's at least something nice to provide in case in case you really have the urge to want to intervene in the shifting pattern of your motorcycle. But know that shifting pattern and the throttle delivery can change, and traction control can change based on the mode you're in. Sport, road, and rain are the modes that this motorcycle has, plus 2 user modes. You can save 2 riding styles under your own liking, user mode 1 and 2. And it's funny because the logo representing user mode is heart. So heart 1, heart 2 are the 2 user modes available on this motorcycle. You can see all that information displayed on this 5-inch TFT screen, which at this point in the industry is pretty standard on most motorcycles. It's not the hallmark of a expensive motorcycle anymore. Most motorcycles, even way cheaper than this bike, already come with TFT screens. Now, this being a touring motorcycle, there are a couple of items missing, which I think should always be part of the bundle on a touring motorcycle. You want to charge us extra for it, fine, but some competitors are already including these things in their motorcycle without even any extra money, extra charge to the customer. One is grip heaters on a motorcycle, hours on it in cold weather. You want to hold on to these nice and toasty grips, which you don't get on this motorcycle. And there is no cruise control on this bike, which is the second complaint I have, especially the speed of DCT or automatic transmission. It's pretty easy to implement a cruise control on this motorcycle, and one that doesn't actually get thrown off by the shifting pattern of the user, the smart cruise control type. You don't have any form of cruise control on this motorcycle. And the third thing that I'm not too happy about not seeing here is a movable windscreen. This motorcycle doesn't even seem to have any mechanism to even move this in the first place, set aside automatic. Even Honda Africa Twin at this point has a button here you press and the screen goes up and down. So Honda does have the technology, and I think they have the resources to make it relatively affordable. I'm kind of surprised to see none of that existing on this particular bike, and there is no option to like buy a more expensive trim of this motorcycle where you would have those things. No, it's one option, one trim, and even one color, which is another complaint I have with this motorcycle. I mean, who does that these days, to provide only one color on their vehicle? You like it, you don't, you can go buy another motorcycle. That's not really the way to do this business. In the United States, you only get this matte pearl white motorcycle, which actually is not that white. Most components around this motorcycle are actually blacked out. Just the frunk and the side fairing is white. Everything else is black on this motorcycle. But anyways, those are some of the complaints I have on this motorcycle, which I would love to see some improvement on in the next iteration of this motorcycle. And as far as the design choices overall on this motorcycle, I don't have a problem with it. I think it looks relatively attractive. The only issue is Honda's newer models are starting to look a little Suzuki-like. I mean, you look at the front of this motorcycle, and it really reminds me of the GSX-8R from Suzuki. They are starting to deviate from that conservative, plain, simple look of Honda's. I mean, you can see the gold wing on the corner of the screen, which looks classy with this deep, rich red color. And we're moving on to more of a crazy design. I'm not sure how well that's going to sit with most Honda consumers. I, for one, see it as a departure from the original philosophy. I'm not saying it's better or worse. I'm just saying it's different than what Honda used to do. You have this crazy headlight situation up here, and you can see the day running lights if I reach the key and turn the bike on. You have these 2 long lines of line on the sides, and the headlight is at the middle. High beam is actually down at the bottom of this headlight assembly. And all around the motorcycle, every light is LED at this point. For $10,000 and from Honda, it is expected to see LED lights everywhere on this motorcycle, and that's the case. You do see that. Going down to this transmission down here, you're going to get to the DCT that we talked about and mentioned earlier. If you want to know the inner mechanism of how DCT works, I have other videos on older models from Honda that I reviewed, and I explained in depth what a DCT is. But essentially, it's like a car transmission. It's automatic. You put it in drive and you go. The website does say it becomes manual too if you choose it to. It's not the manual you're thinking of. It's not the clutch lever, the pedal push down, pull up to change gears. It's just the plus and minus buttons that I show you on the handlebar. You push the plus, goes a gear up. You press negative or minus, it goes a gear down. That's the level of involvement, maximum level of involvement you can have as a rider, shifting your own gears. But anyways, that's what you have here, the engine and the transmission. And if you want to know how this 2026 Honda NC750X DCT sounds, well, this is how it does. And with all of that out of the way, I think you and I are ready to take this motorcycle out on the road and give it a try. But before we do that, a huge shout out to Everett Powersports for allowing us to have this motorcycle for the day and to go put miles on it. This is a fresh inventory motorcycle. This is not a demo bike. It's got 0 miles currently on the odometer, and by having us put miles on it and take it out on the road, they're willing to take that risk and the inconvenience it causes to sell this bike to the next person. Also, you guys can see what this bike is all about and see the real world scenario out there riding this bike and how the suspensions work and how the brakes work, all thanks to Everett Powersports. So go check them out. I'll put a link to their website in the description section of this video. Go see their deals. If you're local, buy a bike from them. They have a fantastic inventory of motorcycles here. And if you're not local, they have all kinds of shipping options available. If you see the bike you want at a good price here at Everett Powersports, don't hesitate to reach out to them. With all of that, let's go and ride this motorcycle. It's actually a very nice looking bike. Not a fan of the very front angle of it, but from the sides and from the back, looks very nice. I don't know, I mean, it's all subjective. You might love it. Anyways, let's go. Whoa. As far as the height goes, it's very comfortable for me. I'm 5'7", and I can almost flat foot. The only issue with the bike is it's a little too wide. If it was narrower, I could have definitely flat-footed it, but I think my heels are all like half an inch off the ground. In order to start this motorcycle, all you gotta do is press this button. Starts right up. It's an automatic motorcycle, so just put it in drive. It goes in gear number 1. All you gotta do is twist this, and it goes. Let me make sure I can see through my mirrors. All right, let's go. This is a brand new motorcycle, so we're gonna be a little careful on these tires. Nice. Very smooth. I think they have further refined this motorcycle, because I remember when I was trying the 2024, so 2-year-old Honda Rebel 1100 DCT. That was a little clunkier in its shifting than this one was, but this seems to be pretty nice. Okay, let's put the mode on sport. Fuel gauge down there, very nicely laid out screen here. Total of 1 mile on the motorcycle. This TFT screen also has the Honda Sync, the Road Sync, I believe is actually it's called. Allows you to connect your phone to the motorcycle. Nice. It's pretty strong. Even in the sport mode, it's not really clinging on to gears. It's one of those things where if you had a manual motorcycle, you would have gone a little harder and harsher on the transmission than the motorcycle wants to be on itself. It's not really taking it too hard on its own transmission. I would have been in first gear right now. maybe second gear going 47 miles. Definitely not in fourth gear when I'm going 47 miles an hour. Or fifth gear, and I haven't even hit 50 miles an hour. So even on sport mode, it's not really giving it hell. Okay, when you open up the throttle, it downshifted. That's really cool. I did not know that. So if you continue to go normally without taking it too hard, it upshifts, I guess, and then when you're about to book it and it senses the throttle is completely 100% open, it downshifted for us. That's really nice. Let's try the manual shifting. So I'm gonna go gear 4, gear 5. Doesn't let me go to 4 or 5 because I'm getting too slow. Okay, so it has that added safeguard. It doesn't actually hold the clutch for us and let us go as high up a gear as we want. It doesn't let us go higher than a certain amount of gear so okay, all I'm trying to say is, don't want to confuse you, but it's way more governance than I even originally thought this DCT has on the user. And I'm not touching any gear, and as I slow down, goes second gear and then goes down to first gear when we're about to stop. Okay, cool. Anyways, I was saying that you can, through the road sync, connect your phone to the motorcycle for navigation and music changing capabilities. You can do that here. Pretty standard on most motorcycles that come with the TFT screen. Something you can do. What else haven't we talked about? Oh, by the way, this thing, I forgot to show you guys. This is a handbrake. You can do that to set the brake, and the red P shows up on the screen. And then you can release it with the push of this button. The need for a handbrake on this motorcycle obviously comes from the fact that if you are not moving this motorcycle, see, like I can move it back and forth even though it's in first gear. This motorcycle is always rolling. So if you're on an uneven surface, if you're in a downhill or uphill, the motorcycle is going to roll down the hill unless you actively hold the brake. But if you want to park the bike on an inclination, you need to set the handbrake so it doesn't roll down the hill. Accidentally honked at you, sorry. Still trying to kind of learn where the buttons are on this motorcycle. Alright, let's make a U-ey here. I want to see how easy we can make a U-ey. Yeah, it's pretty... the CG of this motorcycle is nicely placed. Awesome. It's a very capable motorcycle. It's not that heavy. I forgot the weight of this, but I'll put it on the screen to see how heavy this motorcycle is. It's not that heavy. I can easily throw it around. It appears that the turn signals also remain on to act as day running lights. I'm not sure if it's actually the full power of the turn signals or it's half lit. I feel like it's half lit. Nice marker lights. And they have put this shield here to kind of block sun glare from, you know, not being able to see the TFT screen. So that's kind of nice too. Nice touch. The thing with this motorcycle is it's nicely priced, sure, but I wish Honda would bring back, I mean, as time goes on, instead of having more options, we have fewer options, it seems, with Honda, which is a problem I have with them. We used to be able to get like 2 types of transmission at least up until this year or last year, I think. Now we only have DCT. We used to have 3 or 4 colors to pick from. Now we only have 1. It's a little bit too limited. Is everybody like happy with a black and white motorcycle? Nobody wants a red or blue or yellow motorcycle anymore? Is everybody happy with automatic transmission? Nobody wants a manually equipped transmission. Like, once you start limiting the motorcycle to these factors, 1 color, 1 transmission, you are of course limiting the number of your market. You're limiting the number of people who would like that motorcycle. But yeah, if there is one takeaway from this video, is that if Honda could add more color options to this motorcycle and more technology, cruise control, at least a cruise control, that would be night and day. Popularity of this motorcycle would go through the roof just by making more colors available and a cruise control. But other than that, it's a fantastic motorcycle, especially for the price point of $9,500. You can't really beat it. This motorcycle is going to probably outlive you being a Honda. Anyways, thanks for watching.